Obsession is a word that haunts many people and influences them in multiple ways. It can take shape as an idea, a person, a place, or an object. Obsession is defined as an idea or thought that continuously preoccupies or intrudes a person's mind. It is a continuous passion that can be seen in a subtle manner, or it can consume and be a constant companion in someone's life. Obsession is a substantial theme in The Great Gatsby, as it is exhibited through the characters of Daisy, Gatsby, and Tom. Their obsession with different things affects the choices made throughout the story. Wealth, the past, lust, and power are all obsessions that each character possess. They are obsessions that influence the character throughout The Great Gatsby. The most prominent example of obsession would have to be with Jay Gatsby, the young mysterious man who throws parties all the time. The amount of devotion and thought that Gatsby gave Daisy throughout the novel is overwhelming. For 5 years he thought about her, indulging in the past and the time they had together. She was the motivation for every decision that he had. When they first met, Gatsby was very poor, and in the words of Daisy, rich girls don't marry poor boys. This motivated him to gain wealth in order for him to be acceptable enough for her. It also influenced him to move to the West Egg in a house directly across from hers, where he can see the everlasting green light of her dock. Daisy is also the reason for him to throw his outrageous parties, as he kept the hope that she would walk through the doors one day.
A little party never kill nobody, so we gon' dance until we drop. A little party never kill nobody, right here, right now, no we can.
Every waking moment of his being was devoted to her and making sure they were together again. He hadn't once ceased looking at Daisy, and I think he reevaluated everything in his house according to the measure of response it drew from her well-loved eyes. Sometimes, too, he stared around at his possessions in a dazed way, as though in her actual and astounding presence none of it was any longer real. This quote shows that since he is so in love with the past, it is hard for him to enjoy the present with her, as he is so used to dreaming of her and not having her be right in front of him. Gatsby has an obvious obsession with Daisy, yet there's an unseen obsession with the past and holding on to the moments that he once had with her. His obsession for the past is a lurking presence in his life. He calculates every decision in order to see if it would contribute in getting Daisy back into his life. He is so in love with her that he is prepared to take the blame for the accidental death of Myrtle. This obsession with Daisy eventually led to his demise, as he is murdered from the crazed husband of Myrtle, who's convinced Gatsby killed him. Daisy is portrayed as a ditzy, inattentive girl who is self-obsessed and very oblivious to everything and everyone around her. Her careless attitude and self-centered nature is caused by her obsession for her well-being and social status. This is obvious, as she did not marry Gatsby, but instead married a man she didn't love who was from old money. This wealth enabled her to keep the life of extravagance and material luxuries. As the novel progresses, it is obvious that she is looking out for one person, herself. Her obsession for attention and having a high social status is apparent. Daisy is fully aware of the affair that Tom is having, but she is willing to turn a blind eye to it in order to keep benefiting from the luxuries and wealth that Tom has. She even betrays Gatsby in the end and abandons him after his death. Her obsession with social status and herself affects every decision within the novel, as she only is looking out for herself and her own well-being. Tom is the husband of Daisy, and he is just as bad-natured and narcissistic as his wife. He is always concerned about his appearance and stature in society. His obsession for power is why he doesn't like Gatsby, since Gatsby's money is a threat to him and his social status. His obsession with power ultimately leads to Tom blaming Myrtle's death on Gatsby and telling her husband about it. This eventually caused Gatsby's death. Overall, the obsessions throughout the book are the main theme and impact how the plot carries out. It influences the decisions of the characters and causes certain events to happen. Without obsession in The Great Gatsby, there would be no story, since the whole plot is focused on Gatsby's love for Daisy. Obsession impacts every character and the choices made throughout the story.